Hello, everybody, and welcome to Club Codex. We are here, and we are talking about AI and the reign of AI dominance in America. Is it coming to an end? Will Chinese AI agents take over the world and steal your job? Who knows? Probably. Anyways, we're here. Thank you for watching, and let's get into it.
Got that CDX token, we the ones chosen. Every stake, every year, while I stay golden. Codex Club, AI mind focus, it's an anthem. CDX got them frozen.
Hello.
You did it, Charles.
Thanks. Yeah, I just learned that Corval wasn't coming about 1 minute ago, so I was panicking because he sets the bar so high for the intros that no one can do it better. So, anyways, welcome, guys. We're here with Beavis as usual, and we have Josh with us as well. Josh from Iris. I wish we had a little banner for you. Maybe I'll make one really quickly as we're talking here. But,
yeah, don't listen to anything I say. Just make the banner and make sure that it appears. Great.
All right, can do. Anyways, welcome, gentlemen. How's it going, Josh? How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on to the show.
I'm doing great. It's a great Monday, and I'm excited to chat.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah!
I just ate something called a skonky, which is a hybrid scone cookie for my lunch. So
can you just describe what parts of a scone does it include, and what parts of the cookie does it include?
So my assumption is it's just kind of like a fattier scone dough. They put an Oreo in it. It's good. It's like a good scone, except I think it's like they just add extra butter and maybe some extra this or that. But it's good. Trust me on that one.
Where do I buy this? I'm in the US right now, so this is.
Are you in the Los Angeles area?
I'm actually in your house. No, I'm
awesome.
no, I'm in New York right now.
Raising money, I presume.
Generally unrelated. True, but unrelated.
Yeah. So I live in a very like I live in what is referred to sometimes as like the Japan of the Americas. It's like in South Bay, Los Angeles, a very high concentration of Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, and the bakery culture here. If you've ever been to an Asian bakery, it's like really competitive around here. So there are always like new inventions, new types of interesting breads and whatnot. And I just eat it. So I don't know much about it besides it's a Korean little bakery cafe that I like going to called Smoking Tiger. Shout out South Bay, LA, the greatest place on earth.
Shout out to you, Smoking Tiger. Give us a sponsorship. We'll run your ads on Club Codex. That would be.
I'm
pretty
sure
awesome.
they would love that.
Let's go.
I'm literally the target. I'm the only person in their target demo, I think, that watched our show.
Who knows? Maybe the Asian bakery crypto crossover is deeper than you think. Yeah. So I guess I don't really have a schedule for the show today. But basically what we're going to talk about first is DeepSeek, kind of what's on everybody's mind. And I want to present this. Okay.
Is your house about to explode?
Yeah, well, I have a new computer and I have to open my system preferences now, so apologies. But maybe you guys can kick it off while I do this.
Maybe if you can pill us on Iris real quick, Josh.
Let's do that.
I think like give us maybe a 1 minute pitch, and if every second you would go over 1 minute, you get minus $100,000 off your valuation.
I'm cooked. If I spend less than if every second I do less than a minute, do I get an extra
another
$100,000?
billion?
A billion? Okay, well, hey, I'm Josh. Iris is great. Full stop. That's it.
Boom. All right, $1 trillion.
Yeah, $1 trillion. Here we go. So I guess introduce myself. Hello, I'm Josh, founder CEO of Iris. So what is Iris? Iris, we talk about Iris as the first programmable data chain. You can find us at iris.xyz. A data chain is a chain optimized to store data. So the end goal of these networks is how can you have large amounts of data stored on chain, because chains like Ethereum and Solana have a bunch of restrictions around the amount of data you can store. And the idea behind Iris is that you can store all of that data on chain permanently, but also non-permanently, and also cheaper than traditional storage providers like AWS and things like that. And then the programmable component of programmable data chain is talking about how Iris is an integrated chain, integrated L1, where we integrate both storage and execution in the same chain, meaning you can store large amounts of data on chain, and then you can make use of that data within smart contracts as well. Now, why is this cool? Because one, all applications require data. This is number one thing. So we work with a ton of different projects that need to store data. And then when it comes to the programmability component, there's a ton of value that pertains to data, right? So we have someone in our ecosystem that's very focused on monetizing data and selling it to AI companies. So the goal with Iris is both enable people to store large amounts of data on chain, but also kind of create value around data. And that's kind of the core focus for Iris.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got my start in 2020 as a smart contract engineer, and when I think about Iris, I think about right now, for example, if you want to cost efficiently measure volatility over a period, let's say to compute some kind of Black-Scholes like thing, you need to kind of bend over backwards, creating a system whereby you don't need to read the tail of data, so to speak. Because otherwise, to compute moving averages, to compute volatility, to compute a lot of these indicators, which might be useful in settling options contracts, et cetera, the cost would be enormous. And, you have to develop data structures that maybe aren't necessarily precise or maybe aren't necessarily as rich as you might otherwise be able to get using like an SQL server. Is that a use case you see Iris excelling at, or are you more focused on maybe bigger data intensive applications?
No, I mean, we are focused on big data applications, but the reason why Iris is interesting for the use case that you just shared is that you can actually store all the data on Iris and make use of that, and then pull that data into smart contracts to include in your smart contract logic. So the idea is that yes, you can kind of build that now without Iris, but it's technically super challenging and super expensive to do. And the cost of building an application like that on Iris would be much lower and also much more simple as well. Yeah. And if we can make everything 10 times cheaper, 10 times simpler or more, then we've built something that is great. Cool. But we are also, I guess, to segue into the other thing, we are also focused on some big data use cases. So we do a bit of both, especially in the AI space. We're doing a lot of, obviously, that's a big data space in itself. Yeah,
definitely. Cool. I guess in that case, maybe we can talk a little bit about DeepSeek. Do you have any introduction you want to make, Charles, or would you like us to just dive in?
Well, I just want to share this this funny image.
That's awesome.
Which kind of tells the story of the last, I guess, few days, which is that DeepSeek has come out with this model called R1, which is the newest the newest of their models. Apparently, they did it for extremely cheap. I don't know how cheap exactly. I'm not sure. The number being thrown around is 5 million. I don't know if I believe it was 5 million. I'm guessing it was a bit more, but maybe it was. And this has thrown a lot of sort of uncertainty into the market, where into the stock market, tech markets, which is dragging crypto down with it, where huge investments have been made into American AI companies and sort of leaders in the space, like Meta and OpenAI and companies like this, where huge investments have been made into these companies, and it's sort of coming to light that maybe they don't have as big competitive advantages as people thought they did. So tons and tons of uncertainty in the market right now. And tech stocks, like Nvidia, Meta, these companies make up huge percentage, or relatively very, very large percentages of the stock market. So crypto is kind of catching astray here. I would argue that like this is very good for crypto and good for the intersection of crypto and AI, because as crypto builders, we are consumers of this tech, and if it gets better, if it gets cheaper, that's good for us. So like the dip in the crypto markets for me is just kind of a consequence. I think maybe it might be a bit of an overreaction in the broader markets, but I don't know. How do you guys think about this, and how have you been processing the last, this weekend?
I tweeted about this. I think it's the
Oh
biggest
yeah,
overreaction that it was very short. I think it was basically DeepSeek is a massive there's been a massive overreaction to DeepSeek, something like that.
yeah,
It just doesn't. Even if they did build it for that cheap, the process for them doing so was basically reverse engineering existing things.
Yeah.
So it seems to be like a bunch of things, right? One is that the numbers that are being released are almost definitely a lie. Like the probability that they trained it for however like 5 million or something is extremely low. It was very clear that they had GPUs, like very expensive GPUs, and a lot of them, much more than 5 million.
My assumption is that the 5 million is like overhead costs at Chinese wages with all of the compute totally subsidized by China, their government. That's my assumption. And so they're like, hey, we were able to get something that is almost as good as GPT-4 to a layman. And, it was only $5 million, which is like we're doing accounting like triple backflips to advertise that number. And they're also like, oh, no influencers, no this, no that. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right. Why have I been seeing it literally nonstop? When we've been messing around with it, it's good for the cost. It's not anywhere near as good as GPT-4o. We like GPT-4o better than we like O1. And I would say like for a lot of things we've been testing it for, it's not better than even 4o mini, which is like, kind of the pie in the sky for cost efficient LLMs. We're probably going to use it. It's cheap. We just need to figure out what it's useful for. But I don't think it's the next big foundational model, period. That's kind of my takeaway over the past, like, Charles can attest in Slack. I've been spamming like we need to become more Chinese, and I've been spamming DeepSeek propaganda for the past 3 days. But the reality is, like in production, we're just not seeing. It's just not doing better than 4o right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how do you guys attribute? So if it seems so obvious that like it didn't cost $5 million all in, like they did some accounting backflips, gymnastics, and they took the best possible number they could conceivably come up with. If it costs way more than this, the model is not actually groundbreaking. What do you attribute the stock market dip to? If like, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of sophisticated actors. The stock market's a very, very mature market compared to crypto. You'd think that people would see through this and be like, oh, this is, our investments are sound still. Like this is a complete overreaction. Why is it so red?
I mean, a lot of people hold a lot of overpriced tech stocks. And I think any excuse to start de-risking is a good excuse. And to be honest, like this is a good excuse. Looking at some of these valuations, it's like, AI must be like the second coming of Jesus or something. So, I mean, like, I think
like justifiable
at prices this
selling.
high, the market's going to be sensitive. And now we're seeing the market like cry. it had a boo-boo, oh, China's AI looks so cool, so tough, and he's making fun of us on Twitter, which if that's enough to sink the market, then maybe valuation shouldn't be that high anyway.
I also think that there is some reason, like it does make sense for there to be some kind of sell-off in the sense that it is indicative that there is obvious talent within China that can meet or come even just remotely close to the current American talent. And I think the market was priced such that China doesn't know like how to spell AI, and now it's kind of priced such that they believe there's some talent within China. And also like the story's pretty cool, right? It's a hedge fund. It's a dude who just has a ton of money, and he was like, why don't I just go and build an open AI compressor? And he has literally no, like broadly, like kind of minimal AI background, and they were able to produce anything greater than zero is an incredible production coming from their background. So I would also say it's a fair reaction in the sense that they did achieve a lot with a very little in some ways.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it is, I guess, maybe a wake up call, and I think a pretty healthy wake up call. And we're an international organization. Iris, depending on how far you are in your legal battle, I'm sure you're international or close. So it's like, especially at the application layer, and maybe it's a little different for you because you're building infrastructure. Like moving the Overton window toward like really cost efficient models only benefits us. It's like, right now our number one cost is inference, and maybe half of our development at the moment is just getting that cost down and optimizing, implementing other types of algorithms, implementing other types of machine learning. And frankly, like the reason we use LLMs is because they're so dynamic, they're so flexible. They can basically, aggregate things that it's like starting at aggregation instead of building the services and then aggregating, which saves so much time and energy. And like, I would like China to light a fire under OpenAI's ass. That would be quite cool. I'd like to see more cheap, cost-effective small models, and I'd like to see less censorship. Because I'll tell you, Josh, where we've been having a ton of trouble is we're using AI to do financial analysis. People can trade. Maybe if we have time, Charles, we can kill some time and I can demo Codex for Josh and for our viewers. But every once in a while, 4.0 just decides, hey, I'm not allowed to give financial analysis. And so we're having to do a ton of workarounds with our prompting just to do visual analysis on a chart. And it's like, the only problem is we get censored. Like 4.0 does an awesome job doing the analysis. It's pretty cost effective doing it visually as opposed to consuming a ton of data. And every once in a while, it's just like we're forced to hallucinate or generate bad data, which we're solving for. And that's only because of censorship. There's no technical reason. And DeepSeek doesn't have that censorship. It doesn't do the analysis as well. But we may end up using it either as a primary or a fallback simply because it doesn't force us into like a non-generation or force an error, which is like the saddest thing. Maybe Iris can solve this for us. But yeah, moving the Overton window away from lack of censorship, and obviously DeepSeek is still censoring some stuff, and they're censoring more and more every day. It used to be like a week ago, you can ask it about China, like weird Chinese stuff that is typically censored in Chinese media, and it'll tell you, but it's starting to, you can see it generate the inference, and then you can tell that they just hacked in like a few lines of code because it generates the inference. You can see it for a split second, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. So you can tell they're like just figuring out.
Is it the typical kind of thing where it's, if you ask anything about the political party that's it's just typical political censorship? Okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the V1 didn't even have that.
It was extremely surprising, and we thought this was like China is changing the world, and then we just realized, they shipped before they were compliant, which is common. So they were just trying to get to market. Good for them,
Yeah. So I guess maybe, maybe DeepSeek it's not justifiable. This market reaction isn't justifiable for DeepSeek, but I guess maybe it's like it's
I think
alluding
it's
to something
broadly
greater.
justifiable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where like people are realizing sort of the trend that we're going in. And be
Wait
just cameras
until,
off.
if they think China is scary, wait until they figure out about anime avatar GitHub grinders. That's like where the real AI innovation comes from.
I have no idea what
Yeah.
you're talking about, and I'm not
You've
sure what to do with
you've never seen someone have like, 55 high quality PRs a day, and then you go to their GitHub profile and it's just anime.
Oh, yeah, no, many times. Whenever I see that, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to hire this person.
Well,
This person's
those guys are
so-
the real AI innovators right now. And so the thing is, like, the anime avatar community is just like, it's so disparate, so it's hard to organize them. That's the purpose of our organization. We're trying to have the most anime avatar dense staff engineers humanly possible. We're working on it.
Yeah.
That's a very intriguing.
How many of your engineers, Josh, have anime avatars?
Do you know what? I actually went into GitHub. I started checking. It's pretty low. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's pretty low. I'm not gonna tell you how low,
Bearish.
but it is low, and I'm now reconsidering. Should I be like getting my designers to create some anime profile pictures and like putting anime all over?
There's Microsoft has a word for these people. They're called technical fellows. And if you're a technical fellow at Microsoft, you can get paid $800,000 a year to do whatever you want. Google, I'm sure, has the same thing. It's like, once you're beyond a principal engineer and you're just like too autistic to, manage, they're like, well, we want you around anyway. Those are the ultimate guys. And in the wild, they just have anime avatars. Either that or they're like, just guys that have no exposure to the internet and built it also somehow.
One of my
one end of this. Yeah.
One of my
Go ahead,
engineers
sorry.
just messaged me and said, "I aspire to be worthy of the anime GitHub profile."
Yeah, I mean, OSS and anime, like, I shudder to think about what the state of open source software would be like if anime had never been invented, because it's like you watch a shonen anime and it ignites a fire within you. You're like, I could do anything. And then you just proceed to become a 10x software engineer writing open source software. And that's cool.
I feel like, and I'm just guessing here, but one end of the spectrum is the anime profile picture. The other end of the spectrum is the LinkedIn. It's like the suit with like the tie and the LinkedIn, the pro headshot. I feel like that's bearish for engineers. But who knows? I'm not an engineer. So.
The reason it's bearish, that person is probably a killer engineer. The issue is they're not loyal. They're going to have 10 jobs over the course of 3 years, and every job they're going to ask for a 50K raise, and they're making like 800 grand. Career grinder, 10x engineers, they just end up as technical fellows at Microsoft. But anime avatars have true loyalty in their bones. This is what happens when Corval isn't here.
Yeah. Let's I can move it along. And apologies. Can you guys hear that in the background?
We can.
I'm afraid I can't hear it.
I'm so sorry. My appliances are like freaking out. I'm trying to mute myself as much as possible.
It's providing a sense of urgency to the show, I think.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Well, I was gonna ask a sort of a layman question about how Iris can introduce AI, like what that would look like for like a data chain. You know what I mean?
What do you mean by introducing AI?
I don't know. Like you mentioned, you're working with.
What's your AI strategy? AI. How are you building a defensible business in a world where $500 billion is being invested in AI?
That is an incredibly loaded question, and I have no idea how to answer that because the other question is so abstract, but in a world of AI, I think our business is very defensible, and I have no concerns. I have no concerns about that, but I'm happy for any pushbacks. But
Do you see yourself kind of occupying like kind of a data ownership type role or a data accessibility type role, maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah,
And we have 750 people watching right now as well, so
yeah, well,
be careful.
so-
I'm just kidding.
Dude, stop stressing the guy out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
I'm
make the
sweating
beeping
right now.
louder, Charles. No, I'm
Yeah. Beep, beep, beep. just as I start talking.
I'm gonna try and turn that off right now.
I think for us, we're focused on one, providing the best chain for storing data, which comes down to cheapest, most performant, etc. We're at least order of magnitude better than anything else out there. Then in terms of ownership, we actually, so the chain itself, we are not directly focused on it. Like we don't enshrine at the L1 that you can monetize data and things like that. But
Yeah.
we have people within our ecosystem. So we have a team called, I'm going to pronounce this in the English way, which is Emmet, but it's a French word. And they're very focused on monetizing data specifically, and they take like traditional Web 2 data and then they bring it onto Iris and they broker it essentially to AI companies to train on.
Cool.
And those kind of projects will deploy on Iris because they'll inherently thrive there. Because if someone can bootstrap an effective and successful data marketplace, I guess, then people will have an incentive to write their models and their data sets to Iris because they can inherently have it sold through this marketplace, and vice versa, right? By being deployed in Iris, you get access to all of this data, which you can then monetize as the marketplace itself. So yeah, I would say like at its core, we're very focused on providing a chain that can store data, and then also having this really strong kind of utility ecosystem around data. But monetization is like one of the focuses. We actually have someone in our ecosystem that's pretty focused on that. So that's
Yeah, cool. In terms of like, and maybe this is getting a little bit in the weeds, but I'm sincerely interested. Like, what does your software look like? Are you just taking an SQL database and taping it on top of an EVM chain? Or is it like a lot more custom than that?
Yeah, it's very custom, sadly, from an engineering standpoint. It's actually more like we have a very custom chain and we're trying to glue on like the EVM is basically what we've done. So we have this very custom chain, has what I would say one of the more complex data models in all L1s, full stop, where we have like multiple ledgers, and then ledgers split into petitions, and petitions randomly allocated to miners on the network. So, and then you also need to scale this to like exabytes worth of data and bandwidth, which is very challenging. So, it's a totally custom L1. We don't even use Cosmos SDK or Substrate or anything. It's written in Rust from scratch. The only reused components is we use some parts of Reth, because we have Iris VM, which is EVM, which is an EVM compatible VM with some precompiles. Yeah. But it's all very custom, which is, as I said, very, very painful to implement. But we're pretty close to done. So there we go.
Cool. And is there like any sort of consensus needed? Like, let's say I have this big bunch of data. I'm like, hey, I want to store it on Iris. I want to optimize for cost. I don't necessarily need 10 validators persisting my data. Is there like one, does the validation or the consensus at all blow up costs? And I guess beyond that, like, what is the value proposition beyond programmability if maybe I don't care as much about programmability?
Yeah. So in terms of consensus, we use a useful proof of work and stake consensus, like hybrid consensus mechanism. And the useful proof of work component is that you're essentially sampling the data on your own drive. So if you're a miner, you're basically generating proofs of your data. The reason you need to do that is because the chain needs to know, everyone needs to know, like, do you actually store the data correctly? Then the stake is think of it more of a contingency, where if you don't store the data correctly, then your data will be slashed. Okay. Your stake will get slashed, sorry. So that's kind of the consensus. Does that add cost? Not really. The cost of running the actual consensus mechanism is generally low. And we actually we made it useful proof of work because we actually wanted to minimize adding extra kind of layers of complexity, because the chain, you need to validate the chain anyway. You need to validate the data, sorry, and verify it.
Yeah.
So if you're integrating that into consensus is actually the most efficient way you can do it, where the cost, the added cost is practically zero.
Cool. So is it like
and then-
I'm going to hash all the data and then compare it to some reference, and that's it?
Not quite. it's a little bit more. It's kind of it's a little bit more complex. So the way it works is that the chain is split up into ledgers. Every ledger represents a duration of time. So one day might store data for 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, forever.
Interesting.
And then every ledger is split up into petitions. So 16 terabyte petitions.
Yeah.
And then each petition essentially has, or every transaction within a petition then has a data root, which is a Merkle tree. And then what you're basically doing is you're basically on every chunk of data. So a petition is split up into 256 kib chunks. You are generating a proof for every single one. Basically every second you're generating proofs. And if you find a proof that is above a certain difficulty, so the kind of typical proof of work, then you can submit the proof, which includes this Merkle proof as well.
Cool.
Saying that you store some random data. So that's the low level answer. So it's more than just, I guess, storing references, but there is some.
So you're built to scale, basically. It's like you know, you want to take on big data providers or Web 2 providers. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, so we're definitely built to scale. So in terms of the product, if you don't care about the programmability, at the end of the day, we're the best way to store data on chain, or the best way to store data generally. So you can store data for any period of time on Iris. So storing data for 1 year on Iris will be competitive, very competitive from a cost perspective, than storing on something like S3. But then there are some applications that care about storing data, like doing permanent data essentially. And there's some applications that care about that. There are some AI applications, NFTs, and a bunch of other use cases. So it depends on the kind of the profile of the user.
Yeah.
But yeah, the core product is like storing data, and you can do that for any period of time.
Very cool.
I'm gonna continue on as the layman and ask hopefully a more coherent question here. As you are kind of approaching like production, what's the most obvious? Like, what are some of the apps and some of the, I guess, users of Iris that are like the most obvious use case for you, or who have you been approaching about your solution, and like I guess specific apps that have that, like, this would apply to.
I guess maybe
in an obvious sense.
What's a use case that you think is going to use most or all of Iris's main features?
That's a better
Not
way to say
I'm
it.
just using Iris for storage, or I'm just using Iris for programmability. What do you think is like the puzzle piece fit together?
Yeah, I think an interesting one, if I wanted to give like a high level one, would be incentives around data. So I think if you're looking at building in the age of AI, let's say that AI companies need a ton of data. There's kind of a data shortage now, but there is a ton of unused data. And if you wanted to create a full incentive system for aggregating data for AI models, then that would be interesting. And to give an example, that would be like me and you would submit some data that we have and then get paid in tokens for that. And you could actually both store all of that data on Iris and also use the smart contracts and the programmability to actually verify that you've uploaded it correctly, and then dish out incentives. That's an example use case where you could use storage and execution all within the same chain. It actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and then you don't need to use some middleware like Express and then be like, okay, here's my data. I'm using the middleware to program the data, and now I need to use that same middleware to call the blockchain, which we know is a big pain in the ass. Instead, it's like, all right, here's this integrated stack. You get the data, you get the blockchain, and you're done. Is that like a good characterization?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm laughing because the website just popped up. It's a good website. It's pretty cool.
It's very cute. It
is cool.
I like this one a lot better than your old one.
That's the most backhanded compliment that I received today. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, that's super cute.
No, it's sick. I was looking at it today and I was kind of in trance. Yeah, really cool.
It's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. It's good work from our team.
Yeah, very handsome.
Shout out to the designers at Iris.
We do
very
have
cool.
some pretty good designers. Yeah, but they're a good team.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Anything else on the menu for today, Charles?
Well, you mentioned, I guess maybe I'll give Josh an opportunity to kind of close out the Iris talk. If you want to share anything, not to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to share anything about how it's going, how people can get involved, how people can start shilling Iris, or I guess just how they can learn more. Anything you want to mention before we move on?
I mean, very much putting me on the spot. Just kidding. But, so yeah, if you obviously go to the website. I think it depends on who you are, but if you're a developer, go to the docs and also join our Discord. I'm there 24/7, and I'm around. So now is the best time to get building, and we have a fairly big update coming this week that pertains to that. So I guess also follow us on Twitter to keep up with that. But yeah, we're pretty focused right now on supporting and incubating early stage builders. So if you fit into that category, this is the place to be.
Cool.
Oh yeah. Let's go.
I'll tell you, we've been, sitting down trying to think, we have this mutual friend who's been shilling us Iris for a while. And we've been trying to think, what can we use Iris for that can't be done anywhere else? And I think before this and after this chat here, I think I have a very deep understanding of what the value proposition is. So hopefully our users do as well. We have a number of developers that watch the show, so really appreciate it, Josh. But yeah, Charles.
Yeah, well, you mentioned wanting to show off the Codex demo, so maybe we can do that.
Let's do it.
So yeah, we've been doing, for anyone watching, we've been doing demos pretty much every day. There was one this morning North American time, for all the Europeans who've been complaining about the time zone, as per usual. But yeah, we've been doing demos in the Discord every day, where people can just join us on stage, and we give them access to the beta or the alpha, the very early stage product. And you just create an agent on stage, and you talk us through your experience. This is very much kind of V0.1, and we're pushing updates every day constantly. So if you want to try the product out, join the Discord, and hop into one of the demo days, and we'll pull you on stage.
Would you like to try it live here, Josh, or would you rather I do it?
That would be cool.
Me try it live?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna message you in our Telegram here.
I'm kind of scared, but it's okay.
No, it'll be good.
It should be anything that goes terribly wrong.
We'll blame our Australian team members, and we'll hit them. We'll physically accost them later. So if you go there, you can go ahead and hit present on the bottom, and share your screen, the application. It's really easy to use.
Do I need? If I need a wallet, I'm gonna have to go up the switch to another browser. Sorry, I won't have to leave, but I need to switch to another browser. Do I need a wallet?
Yeah, you will need a wallet. Yep.
Okay.
You can use username and password, but the wallet just makes login easier.
Let me.
I hate username and password.
I just want to make sure before I present anything that I've got my burner.
Oh yeah. You don't need to show us your $45 million wallet.
Wow, I mean.
One day, things are going pretty good at Iris.
One day. my mesh mask is like really just not working, weirdly. Okay, now it's working. It's really buggy for some reason. Okay,
nice.
cool.
I mean, luckily, if you share, like if you're able to share just the tab, it won't, like if your MetaMask pops up, it won't show.
No, it's fine. Okay, cool. You can just share a tab. Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Okay, let's see. Ready? All right. Yeah, hell yeah. This looks great.
Okay,
So
so
you can
connect
connect
wallet.
your wallet. Yep. And we'll be doing a sign in with Ethereum.
Okay.
Yes. And for anyone watching, you can also use an email, as said. I mean, typically crypto native people like connecting with a wallet, but you can use an email. You can fund it with like a credit or a debit card if you want to do that as well. Which is cool. So
Okay.
get started.
All right. So what you're going to do, and this flow has changed a little bit. We might give you a sneak peek of the next version, but literally just give it some pointers and then hit generate, and it will extrapolate on those.
Should I do it in like bullet points? Like what's
Whatever you want, anything. Just puke whatever you want at it, and then
story, personality? Okay, he is a loner.
Whoa.
What else? What else is he like?
He loves data engineering.
Nice.
What a loser. What else?
The world is built on data engineers' backs.
He this is me. He likes soccer. Okay,
Nice.
and then one more thing. He likes dogs. I'm just saying. Like this is me. I like soccer. I like dogs.
Beautiful. And if you
hit the generate button.
Yeah.
And we accidentally got rid of the little buffer animation, so it is working after you click it. It just might take a minute.
I did click it.
Feedback. That's
All
the
right.
classic.
Oh, there we go.
Zero feedback user experience. So yeah, we've basically taken your little prompt and filled out a template. And now this is the template we use, which I'm sure it will be heavily optimized by our users who are way smarter than us in the coming weeks. But you can edit this, you can change anything you want, and once you're satisfied, you can hit the next button.
So can I ask a UX question? Why are the boxes around apostrophes?
So we just shoved like a markdown library into here.
Okay.
So end stage will probably have something a little more normal.
Shape how your bot will interact with the community.
So this is like, are you long-winded? Are you short and to the point? Who do you interact with? Are you about your money?
Very blunt. What else? Rude.
Nice. All right, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, rude, but no swearing. Like it's AI though. It's probably
Respectable.
censored. It's probably censored. So, what else? How else would people describe me?
Oliver Peoples' glasses. Oliver Peoples' glasses. I don't know how that influences social interaction.
Yeah. I was gonna say. What else? Fuck it. Let's leave it like that. I want my bot to be rude. I just want my bot to be.
You can generate if you want, and it'll extrapolate based on that.
I forget. Generate,
but if you hit next, like honestly, even with really short prompts, it can do a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the feedback also, like you can also just type nothing in and hit generate, and it will generate some random thing for you. Some of the user feedback is like, I have this empty big text box. It's a bit like overwhelming. I don't really know.
For some reason, it always generates, even if you say you want the most degenerate strategy ever. It generates like 1% to 2% allocation at a time. So change that to
1% to 2%
75%
on a single trade.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I think like 80. I think like 80 to 90.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Stop loss?
No. Get rid of no stop losses ever.
Diversification. What the hell is that?
Yes.
I wonder how that affects, like, if you. I guess
I can't be bothered to read all this, but
all good. And now you can select the tokens as trading. We just have a handful for the demo.
So first, load a stable coin as your base trading pair. Okay, cool. It's already one.
Yeah, it's only our stable coin, so welcome.
Nice. And then
Tony,
trade token. Trade token. Let's do ETH or wrapped ETH.
wow, real
Okay.
degenerate of you.
Yeah.
And then you can create the bot. And now it's going to dump you into the terminal. So the bot has created a wallet for you. So the bot, Josh wallet, you can fund it from credit card or bank account. You can modify your trading strategy. You can choose your signals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you scroll down.
Oh
Wait,
yeah,
so that
you
was
can just
loading.
exit out of that. Yeah.
And right
And if
now,
you
the
want to
sky's
just
the limit.
send, you can just copy the wallet address and send it.
Yeah, you
put the
I have
ETH,
some. I have some money. I have a whole $7.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can.
It might honestly, it
do
might
it
not trade
later.
if there's only $7. It might just be.
Okay,
live.
should I? What's the minimum? I actually have okay, across all of these two wallets, I have $25.
It'll probably trade with $25. But okay, here's the thing. If you want to turn on the trading, you need 10 million Tony. You have Tony tokens?
Come on, guys.
You might need to wait.
I have not in this browser specifically.
Oh, okay, yeah. It will be kind of funny though. Like, I guess let's go through the
Yeah, hit
more of the
start
dash-
and,
yeah,
and
hit start
Tony
and
will
Tony
pop up and call you poor.
Ijamook.
Okay, so how do I buy Tony? So I press buy, and then it takes me to make.fund. So how much does it cost for me to buy? How much does 10 million Tony buy?
That's
cost,
like
sorry?
$700 right now, bro.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm gonna have to I'm sorry. I have more tokens in my Soul wallet. I would have to go to my.
That's okay.
Dude, don't worry about it now. You can do this
Let's not
later.
worry about onboarding into Tony right this moment. I know you're probably very eager. This is just like arbitrary gatekeeping so that we can do a cost analysis before we let people.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna buy $700 worth of Tony.
Do it. You get on Tony. Tony's going to be shilling Iris as soon as.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, I think one of the interesting things, if you get out of the Tony pop up, and this is just kind of like a little sample of what you'll have access to in the future, is you can actually choose which signals and data sources you're ingesting. You can weight them. And all of these are kind of injected into your prompt at runtime.
Interesting.
So, this is just kind of giving you an idea. Like we have all these indicators. If you're trading WETH, you probably just want to max out Allura, just because I would say that's like the highest signal indicator there. Also, I think we broke the signal weighting thing. So you might not be able to set it, to be honest.
I like the oh.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
RIP.
I can't believe you did that to us.
Yeah, if you put it to 100%, you're cooked. Like it just you can't.
Yeah.
You're just gonna make so much money it doesn't need signal anymore. But I think thinking about a company like Iris, for example, as someone builds a data marketplace on top of Iris, something that Codex could do is plug into that and let people turn new indicators or turn new sources of data on and off. And that's kind of one of the big use cases we see for Codex is as a distributor for data and for APIs and other kind of AI related tooling. You can also connect a Twitter account in the socials tab. And every order it places, it'll tell you why it placed the order, which part of its analysis kind of made it come to that conclusion.
Have you integrated Kaito?
We haven't, but we just integrated on the back end cookie.fun, which has a lot of similar measures. So you can trade based on mind share, social signal, etc.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I figured that would be like a number one that people would want to trade off. I think it might be interesting that if you can measure some measurement of sentiment, and you could work out what the early uptick is in sentiment that leads to massive sentiment increases, then there could be some interesting algorithms you can run based on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the meme coin trading. So right now we've kind of optimized for Bitcoin and ETH. If you look at Tony on Twitter, he's basically a Bitcoin ETH trading bot using Allura, and he's been pretty successful. But what we're really excited for, and what our users are really excited for, is being able to take social sentiment, mind share, and develop like meme coin investment strategies. And how I kind of frame it is, we're never going to beat the high frequency trading firms, that can place a transaction top of block, with a high degree of reliability. But what we can do is we can kind of get in day 2 or day 1 instead of day 0, and develop a series of signals that help that. One of the issues with sentiment analysis, though, on Twitter especially, is that there's a lot of noise, and probably high sentiment you would need to kind of treat as a counter signal in a lot of ways. But there's not a lot of ways to like short a token, et cetera. Just because it's like, how much sentiment is paid sentiment, so to speak, and how much of that has like a dollar figure on the other end that will probably be dumped on you if you trade into high sentiment. So we're looking at stuff like that. I think like there's not going to be an easy answer, and I think everybody is going to be fighting against, especially as AI plays a bigger and bigger role in like guiding people's trades. There's going to be more and more human kind of counter signal jumping in and trying to, convince AI to back run them or stuff like that. So we're doing a lot of research right now to define what AI's place in the market really is as a financial actor or as an economic actor. Yeah, it's cool at the very least.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some Tony and I'm gonna test this like fully afterwards. I hope you know that.
Good.
Nice. Beavis,
Yeah,
do you want to give a sneak peek of the V0.2?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and pop that open.
It's gonna
So
be
this,
good
what
on
you just used, Josh, is like pre-user feedback, like developed almost entirely by engineers. So it's like stumbling through that. It's like, wow, it's so complicated. So we have very soon, I'll go ahead and share my media player here.
Yeah. I'm also really excited for the designers to get sink their teeth in a bit, because like the UI, it was just the engineers' UI. It was like, oh, this looks okay. Maybe we should get some Iris designers after that.
Oh
check
yeah,
out the website. Dude, we should get them to
honestly,
hire
we're
to
going
coach.
for a similar like highly illustrative vibe. We're kind of, I think we might end up being homies. And I'm also very grumpy, even though I pretend to not be. So
You pretend to not be?
yeah. The real ones know that I'm evil. So this is kind of the flow that we created based on user feedback, that less prompting, more, fine tuning. And people have also expressed, we've demoed this for them, that the word conscientiousness or the word neuroticism, et cetera, they don't know what that means. So I think we have a little bit more simplicity to go, making the social interaction purely like bang, 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 done. We want to get people speed running this. And then the financial strategies, I think, are where we really want to hang our hat and make the focus. So setting kind of hardline risk parameters, being able to set boilerplate strategies, as well as being able to like copy trade. So if you, Josh, for example, make a freaking killer agent and you're dominating the market, you have all these, preset weights. Maybe you even have a custom API that you draw from. Users would be able to pay you to either copy trade or to use your prompt and modify it potentially. And that's another kind of thing that I think would be useful for Iris is, I know I've mentioned it briefly to our buddy Ferris, but the concept of like agent configuration, privacy is like a really important aspect of that, because if you're like a business and you're monetizing this, you need to make sure it's well encrypted. You need to make sure that users will always have access. You have really high uptime, and you need to make sure that like your secret sauce isn't going to get leaked. So even separate from like our vectorized database and our SQL stuff, whatever, we need to think about how we're storing this stuff, and what better use for a crypto storage solution than encrypted agent configurations. So we're pretty excited about where things are headed. I think right now we have the most functional AI app on the market. What you see now with these chat interfaces, we were doing that in 2023, and we were like, LLMs have maybe 2-3 more years before this is actually like fun to use. So this is kind of an evolution of that, backed by our own wallet infrastructure, backed by a ton of data infrastructure, like really kind of ready to scale. So we're pretty excited about it. But what did you think of that experience? Can you see yourself using something like that to trade?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. I think the V2 UI that you just showed me is at least 10 times better than the one that I just played with. Like at least 10 times better.
Our designers haven't even touched that yet either. So
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Only a little.
Yeah. It's then it's going to be 10 times better again. So I think the answer is yes. I think the copy trading feature could be big. If you can make the core like application useful and people would like that, then copy trading will be massive.
Oh yeah.
Because copy trading is already kind of a proven thing. It's people like there's a market for copy trading if done well.
Yeah.
And I guess the problem then becomes having good traders on the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being for those traders being able to monetize their like the work that they've done, because you can't just have open season copy trade anyone, copy any agent. Yeah,
and
need incentives in place for people to put the work in and develop something really intelligent.
Yeah, and I think like copy trading is really cost effective for us. Like if we can get one really good agent and have everybody else copy trade, it's like, oh, we save a shit ton on inference. But even more so, like, seeing people modify these strategies, and as we implement like concentrated liquidity management and other things like that, seeing kind of the use cases explode, and being able to kind of take a prompt that maybe works in this context, buy it from someone, or a prompt or a set of configurations, buy it from them, modify it for your own purposes. We just want to, obviously, like you and like everybody, build a developer community. But I think because the barrier to entry is moving some sliders around and typing in natural language, obviously prompt engineering can get more complex than that. We feel that we can kind of be a very low friction entry point for even access to tools that Iris might sell, or tools that Kaito, Cookie 3, et cetera. Because we're not advertising to developers, we're advertising to smart guys, traders, prop firms, whatever, who maybe don't want to get their C++ engineer, waste his time on testing out strats, just building it purely with AI. It should be fun, hopefully. And Tony is now going to be a billionaire gazillionaire. So I think we're headed in the right direction.
Well, I'll try and ride that wave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody, quick front run Josh. No, kidding. But I guess I don't know. I don't really have anything else planned. This was a bit of a scramble call, but thanks for bearing with us,
Josh.
Yeah,
whoa, boom, jinx, Charles. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and sticking with it. Bit rough, but next week hopefully Corval will be back to kind of right the ship. And anytime you want to come back on, you're totally welcome. It was fun having you. You kind of saved the show, to be honest. If you weren't here, we would have had nothing to talk about, and it would have been me and Beavis just
spewing Chinese propaganda for 60
yeah.
If I save the show, you must be down pretty bad. So
you know what? Yeah, bit of panic in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, I guess
you want to spin the wheel and close it out.
I do want to spin the wheel. The wheel is not prepped, so yeah, we'll spin the wheel. Maybe we can all hop in Discord after and spin the wheel there. So apologies, Discord listeners, but we'll get you all on the wheel shortly.
I'm going to cancel all apologies and say you'll get what we give you, suckers. And also,
Damn.
yeah, great show. Thanks, Josh. And,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Amazing.
Yeah. Appreciate everyone. All right. We'll see you next week. Every Monday, this is happening. Join the Discord, try the demo out, and yeah, have a good week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Got that CDX token, we the ones chosen. Every stake, every year, while I stay golden. Codex Club, AI mind focus, it's an anthem. CEX got them frozen.